I say this a lot, but a lot of you progressives and whatever the fuck you want to call yourselves to avoid calling yourselves a social fascist, like a lot of you people have the memories of a squashed ant. Okay. Everybody was in solidarity with Minneapolis a few years ago. Okay. Everybody was in solidarity with George Floyd. Who was the governor of Minnesota, the state in which Minneapolis and St. Paul sit, during this justified people's uprising? The guy that Kamala Harris today announced would be her running mate. Basically, if Kamala Harris wins, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is going to be our vice president. But a lot of you guys do not remember the fact that this man literally sent National Guard troops to raise hell in Minneapolis and squash the people's uprising.
Until such
Let's refresh your memory a little bit.
time that the governor relieves us of that mission.
At least 500 soldiers and airmen have taken up position in what's described.
This is the exact same thing that Jay Nixon, also a Democrat, did in Ferguson during the Ferguson uprising. Okay? So I cannot forgive this. If you're black or if you are a real revolutionary, you should not forgive this either. You should not forgive this either. Okay? Like, you guys have to remember what these people have done to our movements. You cannot allow them to recuperate their image after they literally had Humvees rolling through the streets of a major American city where the people rightfully waged an uprising against police fascism, against fascism in general.
Described as a law and order mission assigned by Governor Walz to clear streets and protect areas hit hard by looters. The governor said that one of the factors he had to weigh when it came to deploying the Guard for this type of mission is that sometimes the very sight of a uniform or a person holding a gun can be a catalyst, can trigger more rage by protesters. But in this case...
Really? No shit. No shit. And like, people are going to respond and be like, oh, well, what should he have done? Like, not send in the National Guard? Maybe address the reason why the uprising happened in the first place? Like, you all literally think that you all are playing chess. You're not playing chess with these people. These people are playing chess and you're sitting watching. You're basically doing what I used to do with my little brothers growing up. I used to give them a controller that wasn't plugged into the PS2 and let them act like they were playing the game. Meantime, I was playing the fucking game. Why? Because I didn't want to give them a chance to play the game and fuck my save up. Okay? That's what you all are doing. You all are playing video games with a controller that's not even plugged into the fucking console. Quit being fucking stupid.
In this case, he said restoring order was just too important.
None of us can live in a society where roving bands go unchecked and do what they want to do, ruin property.
Guard leadership.
Ruin property. So you've got a prosecutor and you've got a law and order old white man. And this is the thing. Like, why? I'm a 30-year-old black communist, okay? Why the fuck would I get excited over an old white man? I don't care if he used to be a football coach. I don't care if he sounds like fucking FDR and Bernie Sanders mixed together, okay? I don't give a fuck. I don't get excited over old white men, okay? I learned from Malcolm X. Malcolm X taught that we should not trust any of these people. Never, ever. Okay? You all are being political chumps. You all are being used. You all are being manipulated. Quit allowing yourselves to be made chumps and fools out of.
Leaderships and the governor decided to arm the members after receiving credible threats against the Guard via the FBI. And by law, they are allowed to use their weapons in self-defense. But the Attorney General asked the public to view this militia in a positive light.
Protest peacefully, but not see this as another occupation by another military force. It really is to make sure that there's calm and peace and that everybody can operate peacefully.
When they first arrived overnight, the mission...
Kwame Ture said that peace is the white man's word. So anytime you hear people like Keith Ellison, who you just saw, or Tim Walz or Kamala Harris talking about peace, like peace on what terms? On whose terms? Peace for the ruling class or peace for the people? Because peace for the people is violence for the ruling class. Peace for the people can only be bought at the expense of revolutionary violence. It's really that simple. Okay, these people are not going to get up off their money. They're not going to get up off their power without disciplined displays of revolutionary violence. Do I want it to be that way? Absolutely not. Violence is aberrant. Okay, I'm not a sociopath. I do not want people engaging in violence for violence's sake, but the nature of the world in which we live is such that you have to fight your enemies the way your enemies fight. If your enemies come to you with a dove, then approach you with the dove. If they approach you with weapons, you need to approach them with 10 times more. That's how this works. Failure to realize how this works is death for a revolutionary movement, as history has shown us dozens of times. So yes, peace is the white man's word under this system. Why? Because we don't have any peace. George Floyd didn't have any peace. His last moments were spent in indescribable agony. Indescribable agony, and all this old white man that Kamala Harris wants to run alongside her could do was deploy the National Guard and mumble something about the necessity of defending property.
And wasn't exactly clear, but Major General John Jensen says they are here to help however they can.
Like, how do guys with ARs and Humvees with machine guns on top, how do they help anybody? How do they help anybody? Like, that just exacerbates the situation. That's all that's going to happen. Unicorn Riot was there in 2020. Unicorn Riot has a habit of showing up to things. I'm also very, very proud that they follow me on Twitter.
Now, the Guard sent us a list of some of the places where these people have been deployed from. That includes Monticello, Stillwater, Montevideo, Brooklyn Park, and Faribault, and the 133rd Airlift Wing here in the cities. And they will be activated as long as needed. In Minneapolis, John Croman, KARE 11 News.
And the Guard will continue.
Yeah, that's Tim Walz's legacy to me. Comrade Calla Walsh continues his thread with like very lovely images. Like, this is the type of stuff that makes me happy. This is the type of stuff that makes me happy. Tim Walz, televangelist looking ass, does not make me happy. This is the consequence of failing to remember, and it's not even history. This shit was 4 years ago. You all are forgetting shit from 4 years ago. For what? For the sake of a white person's peace? For the sake of going back to brunch like you've been at for the past 4 years? And forgetting that there's literally a genocide going on in Palestine? Like, I don't fucking get you people. I do not. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you guys. Like, this shit keeps happening. It's happening over and over and over and over again. And you all are complacent. You all are going to go out and vote for this guy. And you all are going to go out and vote for the coconut cop. For what? For vibes? Because the memes are good? Because she's Brett? Get real. That's why you all are not doing politics. You all are not doing politics. You all are doing fucking stand culture bullshit to the detriment of the Palestinian people. So what's going on in the UK? Why are they on fire? Apparently there was a stabbing at a dance class or something, and the England Defence League, a very old fascist group led by a fellow named Tommy Robinson, is out in the streets doing a whole bunch of stupid shit. But I mean, honestly, like, the UK is a failed state. Okay. Like, you all literally had an Indian dude as your prime minister, and you all were mad at him. Well, he was a conservative. There's a lot of reasons to be mad at the Tory. But now you've got Keir Starmer, who is basically the same as Richie Sunak. Like, these people do not need any reason to go out in the streets and do stupid shit. Okay? They feel that their country is lost. They feel that they're being irrevocably Islamicized and all that shit. And of course, it's basically the British version of the replacement narrative. That's what they believe. That's what they believe is happening. But the thing is, like, you all had colonies all over the world. You all looted countries all over the world. You all left these countries festering shitholes. And now they're coming to you because the UK is where all the jobs are. The UK is where you took and looted and hid all the resources that you stole. Like, the British Museum is basically a tribute to theft on a monumental scale. And now you're mad. maybe you shouldn't have colonized the entire fucking world. Like, what did you expect was going to happen? So yeah, they're out there throwing down with the cops. Now, if these were immigrants doing this, they would be complaining and whining, and they would be out fighting the brown people. But because it's them doing it, it's perfectly fine. Just a demonstration of even more hypocrisy on the part of the far right. So what's on? A non-white person allegedly stabbed 3 children to death and several others were sent to the hospital. And since then, fascists have been doing pogroms. So if a white person had done this, then there would be no riots. There would be no pogroms. Like if a white dude had ran out and stabbed 10 Pakistani kids, then I guess it would be perfectly fine for the Pakistanis to invade non-white to invade white areas and just start fucking shit up. Like is race war our fucking default now? Whatever happened to class solidarity? Because most of these people look and sound working class. Like the thing about Britain is that you could immediately tell what class somebody comes from because of the way they talk. Like these people don't have posh accents or anything. I believe these people are what the Brits would call chavs, like basically perpetually unemployed or underemployed, like lumpen and semi-proletarian people. Like these are not rich people doing this. Of course, rich people always lead these fascist movements. But so this is the old white English working class that feels that they're being displaced. One notable moment was when fascists attempted to set fire to a hotel where asylum seekers were housed. Like, why would you do that? That happened during the draft riots in New York in the 1860s. Like, they literally burned down an orphanage full of black kids. Why? Because black kids.
Anti-immigration rioters.
Just call them a fascist mob. Anti-immigration rioters. Let's call them a fascist mob.
Attack a hotel in Rotherham as the violence grows and the Prime Minister calls out far-right thuggery.
I love how they have these horrible scenes of reactionary violence with an uplifting news theme.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery. To those who feel targeted because of the colour of your skin or your faith, I know how frightening this must be.
How do you know how frightening it must be? You're white.
I want you to know.
In several towns and cities across England and Northern Ireland. We also...
Oh, yeah, of course the Ulstermen are jumping into it. The Orangemen never need a reason to fucking do stupid shit.
Report from Liverpool on what the police called a night of deplorable violence in which 23 people were arrested. Well, the violence escalated.
They've also been beating the shit out of their own cops, too.
Rapidly.
Most of these cops are undoubtedly sympathetic to the aims of the pogroms, but again, it's a fucking riot. Haven't seen this level of chaos since the 2011 riots. The 2011 riots are actually based. See, when black and brown people riot, it's good. When white people riot, it's bad. That's how you analyze this. I don't care if it makes me sound like hypocritical or what, but when black and brown people stage uprisings, it's generally for a damn good reason. When white people stage uprisings and pogroms and riots, it's generally for a very bad reason. That's how you should look at and analyze things like this.
In Rotherham this afternoon as rioters attacked a hotel housing asylum seekers. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said police had full government support.
Yvette Cooper is like an old black lady name, but apparently this lady is white.
For the strongest action against those responsible. While in Middlesbrough, a crowd of around 300 people marched through the town centre, some attacking police, others smashing the windows of houses and cars. From Middlesbrough, our chief correspondent.
I don't care what the chief correspondent has to say, but yeah. England, the United Kingdom is a failed state. Hopefully it breaks apart into constituent republics. Yes, England should be a republic. Whatever happens to the Windsor dynasty, I don't care. But there's no reason to have a fucking monarchy, even if the monarchy can't do shit in this day and age. I am a very firm Republican. So tonight we also are going to find out whether or not Cori Bush is going to be returned to Congress. This is extremely important because Cori Bush is a DSA member. She is to the left of AOC and Jamal Bowman, and she does need to be returned to Congress because we cannot allow one of our city's congressional seats to be purchased by AIPAC, okay? I understand that America is an oligarchy. I understand that America is an extremely corrupt state. I understand that money talks and bullshit walks, but we simply cannot allow this to happen, okay? Like, St. Louis has a reputation as a rebel city. The 2014 uprising, that paved the way for the shit that happened in 2020, and it was a global inspiration. We cannot allow our city to fall to AIPAC and their puppet, Uncle Wesley Bell. That simply cannot happen. So I am proud to be a black man for Cori Bush. No, I do not live in her district anymore, so I cannot go out and vote for her tonight, and I'm not going to commit voter fraud because that is a very stupid reason to be sitting in prison. But I am a black man for Cori.
Blow impact this enemy to the blacks. You don't see it though. CB got the keys to the streets. She don't need it though. Whoa. So they get nabbed through the loop. You will sell out to the loop. And North County made a co-op for the police, and it's true. Josh Hardy is a racist, but he with my flow with you. You ain't never been no opponent. To the white folks, I'm on it. And the Zionists better try again. They ain't never getting no bonus. It's bitches in them trenches, and we know that you been.
I love Vervis Jones. That's actually, our mayor's name is Tashara Jones, okay? Vervis Jones is her dad. And he actually went to prison for tax evasion. So now all he does is sit on fucking Twitter and make pretty base takes. But in the 90s, like, he was a crook.
Been hating. A husband might just put his hands on you for demonstration. It's peace, God, no cease.
And also, there was a really good statement that was put out by the DSA International Committee, but the NPC, for whatever reason, seems to be in the habit of meddling, and they are going through our statements with a fine-tooth comb. This is the second statement of the IC. I am a member of the DSA IC. I'm on the Middle East and North Africa subcommittee. So they took the statement down. This was the statement on the occasion of the assassination of Chairman Ismail Haniyeh. My good friend James Ray wrote it. I highly recommend you check out his TikTok and his YouTube. But I'm going to read part of it. The International Committee of the Democratic Socialists of America condemns Israel's criminal attacks on July 30th in Lebanon and July 31st in Iran, which come in the aftermath of attacks on civilian infrastructure in Yemen this past week. The acts of terror committed this week resulted in the deaths of 2 Lebanese children, Amira Fadlallah and Hassan Fadlallah, 1 Lebanese woman, Masila Bedoun, Lebanese Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr, and most notably Ismail Haniyeh, chairman of the Political Bureau of the Islamic Resistance Movement in Palestine, Hamas, chief ceasefire negotiator and the last democratically elected leader of the Palestinian National Authority. What a lot of people don't understand is that, like, the Palestinian people back Hamas. They returned him to power. They voted for this guy. This was the guy that was going to negotiate a ceasefire if there was one to be negotiated, and Israel killed him. Why? Because they could. The bombing of a residential area in Beirut and the assassination of Chairman Haniyeh in Tehran is a grave escalation and a blatant violation of international law that reflects Israel's determination to continue its genocide in Gaza and provoke a broader war in the region with the participation of the United States. As the estimated number of deaths in Gaza has risen to upward of 186,000, Israel's targeting of civilians and resistance leaders cannot continue to go unpunished. As we expressed in our statement on Israel's attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, we reiterate our support for Iran's right and the right of all oppressed nations to defend themselves against imperialist violations of their sovereignty. So some of the more socially democratic inclined people on our National Political Committee took umbrage at the last part and had it removed. Basically, they were trying to say that we were supporting terrorism. So basically using the same rationalization as the Democratic Party. Honestly, the only way that we can change this is to ensure that we tighten our lead on the NPC. And we punish those who have displayed lack of international solidarity. That's the only way that you can stop shit like this from happening. I'm not going to go back and forth, over and over again with these people. Because I don't have to. This is interesting. At the age of 16, Joan Tarika Lewis became the first sister to join the Black Panther Party in 1967. So apparently it was pretty much a sausage fest for the first few months of his existence.
What are we doing daily? Like I said before, we are organizing the community, going into different people's homes, you know, politically educating them, telling them exactly what is going on, not only here in Oakland, but in America and throughout the world. See, many Black people are not aware of what is going on in America, or what is going on in South Africa, or over there in France, for instance. You know, we organize, since the Black community is not a reading community, we talk to them, show them examples. And
Huey P. Newton said that. Like, Huey P. Newton basically said that because Black people are, it's very difficult for Black people to receive a decent education in this country. So yeah, a lot of us still are not a reading population. So people learn through practice. So practice is really what influences whether or not a Black person is going to be all out for something.
I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush.
Basically a slideshow of people that are showing support for Cori Bush.
Vote on August 6th.
I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush. Make sure you vote August 6th.
I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush. Vote August 6th.
I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush. Vote on the 6th.
I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush. So vote August 6th.
I trust our Congresswoman Cori Bush. Vote August 6th.
And I trust my Congresswoman Cori Bush. Vote August 6th.
St. Louis, I do trust Congresswoman Cori Bush.
I know like half of the people in this fucking thing. But yeah, so we have a broad coalition in St. Louis that would very much like to see Cori Bush return to Congress. Why? Because she's actually done shit for the people and she's real. Okay, Wes Bell is astroturfed. He's not real. Yesterday was the first anniversary of the notorious folding chair incident at Montgomery, Alabama. And of course, what's happening in Bangladesh is inspiring. So you all are still caught up on Coconut Cop and Tim Walz, the televangelist. Like, this is what we need to be following. This is what we need to be inspired by. They literally drove their fascist prime minister out of the country, and then they proceeded to sack her house. They stole a goat from this lady's house. They stole a sari. They even took her elliptical walking machine. Like, they were literally parading this lady's elliptical through the streets of Dhaka. And like, there was one lady in a hijab. She was doing exercises on it. Like, that's what we need to be inspired by. Tim Walz does not inspire me. Kamala Harris does not inspire me. None of these people inspire me. None of them. This is what inspires me. This is what should inspire you. Of course, from what I've heard, there's like no, yeah, she did flee the country. She pulled a Ferdinand Marcos and fled the country in a helicopter. But the thing that worries me is like, who is waiting in the wings? Like, who is waiting in the wings to actually take power? Because there's nothing more dangerous, especially in the third world, than a power vacuum. If you have a power vacuum, it's going to be filled by fascists or it's going to be filled by an American puppet. And as we all know, ain't nobody got time for that. Beep, beep. They're just sitting there like, oh, okay, cool. Now what do? We have no more boss. So this was actually this guy's daughter that was deposed, Sheikh Majibur Rahman. He was a firm anti-communist. He actually, according to Comrade Rakesh, he brutally murdered the leader of the Purba Bangla Sarbahara party, Siraj Sikdar, who I've heard of. I've never read him. But he tortured this guy to death. And this was his daughter that was forced to flee the country. So they are chopping up his statue because he was a piece of shit that tortured communists to death. That's the thing. Like a lot of people talk about decolonization. Like a lot of these people that took over, like, okay, so the revolutionaries made the revolution. Okay. Many of them were left inclined, many of them were left leaning. But the people that came afterwards, they wanted to tie the country to the IMF. They were also firmly anti-communist. So they smashed communist parties. They smashed even wings of their own party that were left leaning, and they engaged in all sorts of horrible shit. So just because somebody is not aligned with the colonial power, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are good people. Look up Papa da Duvalier in Haiti if you don't believe me. Yeah. All power to the Bangladeshi people. Hopefully they get somebody that doesn't suck as bad as the person that they just deposed. This is so cute. So it's funny, like how much ADOS and foundational black assholes, they talk about how like, oh, we don't have any affiliation with these people. Here you've got two black American athletes that are paying tribute to a Brazilian athlete because blackness is global. And I don't know if these ADOS and FBA people are like affiliated with the state. I don't know who these people are, but like there's some type of nefarious influence here because like a few years ago, these people were not all over the internet like they are now. I can't post anything about Pan-Africanism without people being like, hey brother, you don't have any affiliation with those people. We ain't African. I'm like, are you insane? And like I always compare it to like, imagine an Italian American being like, we don't have any ties to Italy. We don't want those wops. Fuck the wops. Don't come to our country. Or if an Irish American, like an Irish American never shuts the fuck up about being Irish American. And here you are, your ass is black as the ace of spades, and you have the audacity to tell people that you're not African. Like it's self-hatred. And it's also like American ideology seeping into the deepest cracks in what little of a brain you have and ruining it and fucking it up. That's what's happening. Probably funded by Peter Thiel or some other techno-fascist ghoul. Who knows? Maybe we will see the rise of the black fucking JD Vance. Who knows? My buddy Emac. Yes, I call him my buddy, even though he's in a caucus that I hate. He's still my friend. Why? Because we live in the same city and we work together. So, who is Wesley Bell? Emac has a lot of time on his hands, and he put this together. So let's see. Who is Wesley Bell? So Bell started out as a Republican. Okay, he's a black Republican. That's already a sign that he's fucked in the head, or at least was cozying up to Republicans for personal gain. Then he got elected to the Ferguson City Council after the killing of Mike Brown and accomplished very little during his time. That's pretty par for the course for him. He jumped on board with the progressive movement in 2018 to unseat St. Louis County Prosecutor Bob McCulloch, but his tenure has been filled with scandals and empty promises. Finally, he was running for Senate against Josh Hawley and gave Cori Bush his word that he would not run against her. There was literally a recording of him saying that he was not going to run against Cori Bush. Then AIPAC promised him $20 million to challenge Cori Bush after Bush criticized Israel's war in Gaza, and Bell dropped out of this race against a very evil man, Josh Hawley, to challenge Cori Bush. This is the second most expensive House primary ever, and it is due to Bell's opportunism and lack of integrity. So there is a lot of links here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but here he is hanging out with the guy that he campaign managed in 2006. He ran with, well, he was helping Mark Byrne as a campaign manager to take Lacey Clay's seat. I hate Lacey Clay, but I hate people like Mark Byrne and Wesley Bell even more. So there's Emac's link. It's right there, and you can read it at your leisure. But yeah, we can't allow this guy to fucking take Cori Bush's seat. We simply cannot. So in a radio interview in 2014, Bell took a neutral stance on the killing of Mike Brown and wanted to hear police officer Darren Wilson's side of the story. Bell said Ferguson's racial divide was less than normal during this interview, which surprised many activists who believe that there was a serious racial divide in Ferguson. I hate telling people this because they think that I'm lying for clout, But I actually grew up in Ferguson. Okay, there definitely is a black Ferguson and there's a white Ferguson. Okay, I lived in Ferguson for 10 years. I basically grew up out there. Yeah, a lot of racial shit happened. I remember my uncle, who was an alcoholic, and he's since passed on. Rest his soul, rest in power. But he actually received a $500 ticket for, and I shit you not, manner of walking along roadway. He was literally walking drunk in the middle of the street, and the cops gave him a $500 ticket for it. Yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, Ferguson definitely has and had a lot of issues. If there's any reason I would dislike Tim Walz, like this would not be. Okay. Like this is a white dude in the Midwest. Okay. Getting DUIs is literally a sport out here. I have not had any DUIs, but regardless. Also, I find like American third world is hilarious. Like, for one, you live here. Okay, you want China to invade and attack the United States. First of all, it's not going to happen because like there's too much money tied up on both sides. There's too much money tied up on both sides. Chinese billionaires send their kids to school here and they go shopping in New York and LA and Las Vegas. American billionaires have penthouses and offices in Shanghai and Hong Kong. Like, regardless of if whether or not your governments are adversarial, the ruling class, the rich in social imperialist and in imperialist countries, they're pretty tied into each other. And then for two, like, why would you want your fellow country people killed? Okay, I don't give a shit about this country. I hate this country. My ancestors have lived in this country for 400 years. Okay, so I'm probably as American as anybody else. I hate this country. I hate what this country has done. I hate what this country is doing to my people and others abroad. But at the same time, I do not like, most of the people in this country are decent folks. Okay, most of the people in this country are very ignorant, but they're still decent folks. I don't want them all to die. Same thing. Like, do you think Mao was going around being like, hey, oh, all the Chinese people, they're historical colonizers, they should all perish? No. How the fuck are you going to be a revolutionary and you want your own people to die? That's nihilism. That's insane. Lazy doomers. That's what that is. And like, China and the United States are never going to go to war. They're fighting little proxy war bullshit that enriches both sides, but direct hot war, no. They're not going to blow up the world. For what? Like, how do they profit off of that? And then this dumbass white chick from Columbus, Ohio, the most bland Yankee of all Yankee areas, says that there are 7 billion people outside the United States who can't organize. Who says that they can't organize? Like, what are you basing this on? It's all vibes. All politics is nowadays is vibes because of America's crushing foreign policy. Anything that weakened, you can't even spell weakened, you duck. Weakened America's empire by even 1% is good. I almost got canceled there. American lives are inconsequential. So would you, look, if you want to sacrifice yourself, if you want to engage in some type of nihilistic reactionary suicide because of your white guilt, that's you. Don't put me in the equation, okay? There are a lot of things that we can do as black people in this country to weaken American imperialism. If the only thing that you feel that you could do to alleviate what this horrible country has done to people all over the world and people in this country is to commit reactionary suicide, be my fucking guest, okay? But don't wrap me up in that. I like fucking living. I like fucking living. If you don't, if you're so fucking miserable, then by all means. But that ain't me. That is not me. I used to go crazy for this shit as a kid. I've been buying like a bunch of map books. I've got the Smithsonian battles, and I've got one that's specifically around World War II. I've been a big World War II buff since. I think it stems back to me playing a lot of Medal of Honor and Call of Duty as a kid. But yeah, I've always been a big World War II buff. I'm not voting for a ticket that includes his man. Like, he's got a Hillary doppelganger, and he's got himself. This guy is the same age as Kamala Harris. This guy is the same age as Kamala Harris. I'm pretty sure that settlers are cursed Like literally fucking cursed, because ain't no way in the world you were born in 1964 and you look like that. Yes, my hairline is fucked too, but goddamn, man. Like, what evil have you done in your life? What evil have your ancestors done to be cursed like this? You look like a you look like a televangelist megachurch pastor in the worst way. I'm not voting for you, man. I'm not voting for you. What the fuck? Why would I go out and vote for you? So this dude, he probably just posted this to, well, this was posted on the 6th, but this guy, Yinam Cohen, probably received word that this is the consul general of Israel to the Midwest. So he probably received word from some underground channel that Walz was about to be VP. So he was like, hey, look, he stands with us too. Here you go, all you dumb pro-Palestinian motherfuckers. Everybody loves Israel. But yeah. So this guy, the consul general to the Midwest, says that Walz stood with Israel during their darkest hour on October 7th. The U.S.-Israel strategic alliance, strategic means long-term, by the way, is safe and enduring. So fuck Tim Walz. I'm not voting for you. I'm not voting for you. I'm not voting for Kamala. Fuck you. Burn America to the ground. All power to the people.